Hey everybody, it's Reckless. So, I promised you a breakdown of the Reef Reveal, and that's exactly what I'm going to give you. All the video clips in this breakdown are actually from the Reef Reveal that Bungie has done. So let's get started, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So, Bungie started off the reveal with the Queen's Bay. The Queen's Bay is the new social area for the House of Wolves. You do not, and I repeat, you do not need the House of Wolves expansion in order to come here. Everyone will be allowed to come to the Queen's Bay. There are a lot of new things here, but we'll start with the original stuff you already know about and have come to love. Just like the tower, there will be a bounty tracker, a vault, a postmaster, and a cryptarch. Xur will make an appearance in the Queen's Bay, but we don't know yet if Xur will appear in the Queen's Bay and not the tower, or if they will have him appear at both. But I highly doubt that he will actually appear in both. However, Deej has said, and I quote, "He will arrive in a place at an adheddance from which you can anticipate. Xur will have a bunch of stuff that you can buy, and you can decide if you want to buy that stuff or not." And the last thing I actually want to mention is that Gathalion, who is the guy in the blue shirt with the glasses on the far right, actually found 2 dead ghosts in the Queen's Bay, but there's possibly 3. So the first person we're going to visit on our little journey is Petra Venge. And if you remember Petra, she was the main quest giver from the Queen's Wrath event that we had a few months ago in the tower. Well, she is back and has taken a position in the Reef once again as the main quest giver for the story in the House of Wolves. She has quest missions and bounties which will not be the same as in the Queen's Wrath event. And along with getting reputation, she will have emblems, shaders, and be able to give you an awoken ship given that you earn enough reputation. However, the story mode has to be completed in order to have access to the endgame content, such as the Prison of Elders and the Trials of Osiris. It is not yet confirmed whether the reputation that you earned in the Queen's Wrath event a few months ago will be carried over into the House of Wolves for Petra. So real quick, here is a glimpse of the awoken ship you'll be able to get once you acquire rank 3 in the Queen's Wrath. Also, if you were wondering if you will be able to acquire the Queen's Wrath gear and weapons again, you will be able to do that inside the Prison of Elders because they come as drops. With that said, we come to the next character that we visit. Varix the Loyal, who by name is loyal to the Queen and also the last known survivor of the House of Judgment. Varix is the warden to the Prison of Elders, who is pretty much the guy who's in charge of everything. You will have to earn House of Judgment reputation in order to get gear from Varix, except the Prison of Elder rewards. For the Prison of Elder rewards, it looks like we have an armor piece, a weapon, and the last piece looks like an item that doesn't really tell us much. Rank 1 looks like class items and ammo synthesis. Rank 2 are ships, and rank 3 are shaders. All of the items available are from different fallen houses. Items needed to obtain a ship are called a token of flight, while items needed to obtain shaders are called token of identity. There are 4 ships shown here, but only 3 of them are revealed. Those ships are Cold Snap, BKR, from the House of Winter, Kingslayer, BKR, from the House of Kings, and Devil's Due, BKR, from the House of Devils. The Prison of Elders will be on a weekly reset, just like the raids, the Nightfall, and the weekly Heroic Strike. As for gear loot and drops, it would be on a pattern type drop like Xur and not RNG. That way it'll be easier for a player to collect gear. More of this will be announced on the Prisoner Elders reveal on Wednesday, May 6th at 11 a.m. Pacific or 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, this is only one of the weapons that you will be able to get inside the Prison of Elders. The Prison of Elders does have their own gear and weapon set aside from the Queen's Wrath gear and weapons that you get inside the Prison of Elders as drops. The next person we're going to visit is Brother Vance. And as you can see, he is a disciple of Osiris. And this is where you'll be coming for the Trials of Osiris. If indeed you do not already know, the Trials of Osiris is a competitive multiplayer special event which will appear every weekend from Friday until Sunday, much like Xur does, including when the Iron Banner is around. Brother Vance will be your guide and reward giver for the Trials of Osiris. But as you can see, there's not really much here as of right now. But if you do remember the Reef teaser trailer, the Trials of Osiris is supposed to have its own gear set that is supposed to resemble the Egyptian gods, or at least 3 of them, as shown here. If you haven't seen my breakdown of the teaser trailer, I will put it in the description below. Other than that, not much has been said so far about the Trials of Osiris, except that there is more to come and will be announced in the Trials of Osiris reveal, which will be next week on Wednesday, April 29th at 11 a.m. Pacific or 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will also be recording that reveal, that way in case people miss it, then they would be able to come to my channel and actually see that. And hopefully within 48 hours from that reveal, I'll be able to do a breakdown video of that one also. So after visiting the reef and heading to the tower, you will actually get a mission. Now, I am not entirely sure if you'll get this mission after talking to Petra, or if you need to talk to someone specific in order to get it. But when sometime after you leave the reef, you will get this mission. The bounty reads, The Hunt for Skolas. It's a quest, and it says intercept the fallen wolves who have fled to Venus. So, your first trip will probably be to Venus. However, our next trip is not going to be to Venus. It's actually going to be to the Speaker. Bungie definitely did not want the tower to become obsolete. So in order for people to still come back to the tower, they added a whole bunch of stuff to the tower for the House of Wolves. A couple things at the tower that have changed are some things with the Speaker, the factions, the Vanguard, the Crucible weapon and gear, and the upgrade system for weapons and armor. And also, the gunsmith has a little insight on the House of Wolves himself. But we are going to start with the Speaker first. So, real quick, the Speaker will have a new feature called Material Exchange, from which you can trade energy for shards and vice versa, and also shards for motes of light or 250 glimmer. The process works for ascendant and radiant materials, and in this manner. You will be able to trade 1 energy, which could be either ascendant or radiant, plus 50 glimmer for 1 shard, ascendant or radiant, or 1 shard plus 50 glimmer will give you 1 energy. However, 2 shards will give you 1 mote of light, or you can trade 1 shard for 250 glimmer. But I think it's kind of cheap, because if you take 1 energy plus 50 glimmer to make a shard, and you trade in that shard for glimmer, which is 250 glimmer, you lose out on 50 glimmer. But I'm sure if you have an extensive amount of shards and energy, Glimmer probably wouldn't be an issue for you. However, do not go crazy trading in your Ascendant and Radiant shards or energy in, because we do not know what type of materials the House of Wolves weapons will actually need. So the next thing that Bungie actually revealed to us was the factions, Vanguard, and the Crucible gear and weapons. And they just pretty much showed us that there's going to be new gear and weapons, as expected every time an expansion comes out. So in a few seconds, Deej is going to outfit himself out of the Dead Orbit gear and into the Crucible gear for the Warlock. So this is what the Warlock is going to look like with the new House of Wolves Crucible gear. And this is the same gear, but with just like a little 360 view. Next, Deej is taking off the Crucible gear and actually putting on the Vanguard gear for the Warlock. I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty cool. However, I prefer raid gear given the extremely small number of people or percentage that actually play the raids. Now, real quick, going to the Crucible Quartermaster, you're going to see that every weapon has a base attack of 331. But you will be able to ascend these weapons in order for them to have a weapon upgrade of 365. I will get into explaining the ascending weapons and armor in just a moment. I'm going to let you guys look at the rest of these before moving on. So the next thing I actually want to talk about is weapon and armor upgrades. And in order to do that, you would have to ascend those weapons and armor. When you actually ascend the armor, it changes the light level to level 34. In order to ascend or upgrade your weapons to 365 or your armor, you need an item called Etheric Light. You can get Etheric Light from endgame activities such as the Prison of Elders, Trials of Osiris, and you have a chance to get Etheric Light in the Nightfall and in Iron Banner. However, you have more and a better chance if you have access to the Prison of Elders and the Trials of Osiris, because it will be much harder and longer to get Etheric Light other ways. You will be able to ascend any legendary or exotic piece of gear you have. That means the gear from the beginning of Destiny up until now that are legendary or exotic. And that includes all of the faction, Vanguard, Crucible, Voltoglass, and Crota's End gear. Bungie is doing this so players can wear whatever they want. Plus it gives versatility and a little bit of uniqueness. That way, not every Guardian looks the same. Legendary weapons will need Glimmer, some materials such as Spin Metal, Relic Iron, Helium Filaments, or Spirit Bloom, and one Etheric Light in order to ascend. And I want to assume the same goes for armor. Exotic weapons will need Glimmer, weapons parts, and one exotic shard in order to ascend. And once again, I want to assume the same goes for armor, but instead of weapon parts, you would need the clothing materials. Now, the next part of the video is all going to be about reforging weapons. Reforge Ready reads, the gunsmith can reforge this weapon, changing its available upgrades by resetting any progress or ascension. To reforge, equip this weapon and speak to the gunsmith, from which we're going to right now. Now, given the first look at the gunsmith, he will now be able to sell weapon telemetry, but I'm not sure if Xur will still sell them or not. The gunsmith will now be able to reforge weapons or change the perks or some of the perks on all the new weapons from the House of Wolves and the House of Wolves only. This includes all new faction, Vanguard, Crucible weapons, and any other new weapons that drop post House of Wolves, which means when the House of Wolves release. In order to reforge a weapon, equip the weapon, go see the gunsmith, and you will need the new House of Wolves weapon, a motive light, weapons parts, and glimmer. The items needed may or may not be different in order to reforge different types of weapons. However, if you have an ascended weapon, which means it has an attack of 365 that can be reforged, you will lose all of the progress on that weapon if you decide to reforge it. So you better be careful. So the last few things Bungie actually gave us in the Reef Reveal were, one, that the Black Hammer will be receiving its Hive Disruptor when the House of Wolves goes live. So that's pretty good. However, I'm pretty sure a lot of us would have appreciated that if it was around when Crota's End actually started. Another thing is there will still be no player trading, unfortunately. So for those people who have like 12 yellow horns and their buddy has none, I feel for you, kind of. I only have one myself. And the last thing would be that there are no new ghost shells at this time. Whether there'll be actually ghost shells later on, well, Bungie didn't reveal that. For more information on the House of Wolves, stay tuned next week on Wednesday, April 29th at 11 a.m. Pacific Time or 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Trials of Osiris reveal that Bungie will be doing again on Twitch. And as I said earlier in the video, I will also be doing a breakdown of that as well. Let me know what you think about the Reef breakdown in the comments below. This is Reckless, and I'll see you guys later.